When learning a language, one of the most frequently asked questions is, what are the most common phrases you need to know to sound more natural? Among these phrases, the so-called idiomatic expressions are the most difficult to learn. However, before diving into the rich ocean of fixed phrases and sayings, we need to understand what they are and why they are so important. This is necessary to lay the foundation for future videos where we learn each one of them. Let's start with the definition. Idiomatic expressions are phrases whose meaning is not deducible from literal words used, but rather from cultural and contextual understanding. They often reflect cultural beliefs, customs, or experiences, and that's why they are so hard to understand and thus learn. For example, each European language has its own variation of the idiomatic expression kill two birds with one stone. The Italian variant, prendere due piccioni con una fava, is a bit different but has the same meaning. This is because what's important is the metaphorical meaning, not the literal one. However, the metaphorical meaning can be more or less close to the literal one. Simplifying, we can have three types of idiomatic expressions. Number 1. Almost literal idioms. There are idiomatic expressions where the metaphorical meaning can still be deduced from the literal meaning of the individual elements. For example, the literal meaning of let sleeping dogs lie, in Italian non svegliare il can che dorme, is strongly related to the metaphorical one, which advises against disturbing a situation to avoid causing trouble or conflict. Number 2. Partially literal idioms. There are idiomatic expressions where the metaphorical meaning is related to the literal meaning only for some elements. For example, the link between the literal and metaphorical meaning of costa un'arma e una leg, in Italian costa un occhio della testa, is not as direct as in the first example. However, thanks to the first literal part of the idiom, the connection between high prices and the value of a body part is easily deduced. Number 3. Figurative idioms. There are idiomatic expressions where metaphorical meaning cannot be deduced from the literal meaning of the individual elements. For example, the literal meaning of the expression beat around the bush, in Italian menare il can per l'aia, is completely unrelated to its actual meaning of discussing a matter without coming to the point. It's no coincidence that the expressions taken into consideration are the same in the first case, conceptually similar in the second, and completely unrelated in the last one. Now, you might say, okay, very nice, but why are idiomatic expressions so important? Well, we can say that idiomatic expressions are crucial when learning a language for several reasons. Idiomatic expressions often reflect cultural beliefs, customs, and experiences. Learning idioms provide insight into the culture of a language and helps you understand the nuances of communication within that culture. Native speakers frequently use idiomatic expressions in everyday language. Incorporating idioms into conversation adds fluency and authenticity to your speech, making interactions with native speakers more natural and engaging. Idioms often convey meanings that extend beyond the literal definition of individual words. Understanding idiomatic expressions requires comprehension of the context in which they are used, which enhances overall language comprehension skills. Idioms allow speakers to convey complex ideas or emotions succinctly and vividly. They add color and depth to language, enabling speakers to express themselves creatively and effectively. Idiomatic expressions are widespread in literature, media, and everyday conversations. Proficiency in understanding idioms enhances reading and listening comprehension skills, enabling learners to grasp the intended meaning of text and spoken language more accurately. Using idiomatic expressions appropriately demonstrates a deeper understanding and appreciation of the language and the culture. It helps learners integrate into language community and fosters connection with native speakers on a cultural level. Overall, idiomatic expressions play a vital role in language learning by enriching communication, facilitating cultural understanding, and enhancing overall language proficiency. In conclusion, idiomatic expressions are linguistic bridges that connect language learners to the cultural heart of a community. From the nearly literal to the purely figurative, these phrases offer insights into beliefs, customs, and experiences. Understanding idioms isn't just about language proficiency, it's about cultural fluency. They enrich communication, deepen connections, and enhance comprehension skills. Idioms serve as windows into the soul of a culture, fostering empathy and appreciation. Mastering idiomatic expressions is one of the keys to unlocking the true essence of a language and its people. But now I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what idiomatic expression you use the most in your language and their meaning, so that we can discuss their Italian equivalents in the next videos. Until next time!
Arrivederci.